Hello, and on today's show, Nintendo gets a new CEO.
The Muppets are back on TV this week.
Star Wars Battlefront beta for all.
And movie legend Tom Cruise from the movie Legend is slated to make a movie legend about a movie legend titled Movie Legend.
This is episode 4 of the Geek 30 Happy Hour. Welcome back to another episode of the Geek 30 Happy Hour. My name is Alex Albisu, and as always, joined by my co-host, Jojo Maldonado. How are you?
Hello. How are you doing today?
Pretty awesome, dude. And hello to you all for Thank you for listening. This is episode 4. Just wanted to give you guys a quick shout out because we ended up on the new and noteworthy list in iTunes.
Fantabulous. I don't have words for this. This is amazing. This
Really
is great
cool.
news.
Really cool. It shows that we're doing something right, and we appreciate all of your 5-star reviews. If you haven't done so, please go to iTunes, give us 5 stars. It is extremely important for our marketing efforts and getting the word out about this show. So
Thank you so much.
yes, it is awesome. And with that, let's introduce our wonderful guest today. His name is Ryan Rohrer. He is beautiful, spectacular, my former roommate. Hello, sir. How are you?
Hi there. Hi. Well, it's some pretty high expectations.
Yeah, the world's going to expect
We're biased.
a lot.
We love Ryan.
Yeah.
It's a good thing there's no screen here. I've got a face for radio.
Yeah, no, this is good, man. So thanks so much for coming on the show. Ryan's been listening, in just as all of you have. And Ryan, tell the world about yourself.
Well, I am 28 years old. My sign is Cancer.
Do you like long walks on the beach? Is that where this is going?
We poured you a beer, not a pina colada. What's going on here?
This isn't a dating show. Okay?
So yeah, I'm Ryan Rohrer. I've known these two guys for a really long time. Great friends of mine. Jojo, I worked with pretty closely in a previous job, and we grew pretty close after that. Was one of my groomsmen in my wedding. Alex was also in my wedding. We were roommates and for a couple years, and I was honored to be the best man in his wedding. So you could say that we are, acquaintances. We don't know
Kind of close. Kind of.
No.
We didn't share a room when we were roommates or anything weird like that, right? No.
I mean, I kept
Say
trying.
no, Ryan. Tell the world no.
So anyway,
Move it along. Move it along.
I always grew up in the Northern Virginia area. Born and raised in the Northern Virginia area. Excited to be on the show. Listened to you guys for years now, jabbering on and on. So
Yeah,
glad you're
Ryan-
able to share it with the world.
Ryan often joins in on those conversations prior to us ever recording it. And if you guys remember, kind of back to episode 1, we always talked about, we said it would be kind of fun to just record these sort of sessions of us sitting around drinking, talking about nerdy stuff.
Definitely.
And Ryan was often part of that. So it's good to have him on the show to hang out with us this evening.
Personally, I love Ryan for his puns. I think I might be the only one that actually loves the puns as much as he does. Everybody else tends to roll their eyes.
Is tonight going to be pretty punny? Is it going to be a punny night, Ryan?
It may be. Well,
I would hope
wait
so.
to see.
I hope so.
I would hope so.
I hope so.
But, I appreciate
No pressure.
his puns.
Yeah, no pressure. Well, thanks, guys. I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, and tell the world a little bit about your geeky side. What sort of things are you into?
So I'm I wouldn't say I'm a huge geek in any one thing in particular. I'm kind of a jack of all trades, master of none when it comes to my interests in a lot of really varied things.
So you're a worldly person.
Very
Exactly.
worldly, yeah. Love video games. Always have as a kid.
Yep.
Who doesn't anymore?
Exactly.
Grew up on them. I'm a big history buff. I love to travel. So there are a lot of little things that get me interested. What I love most about what you guys talk about and this whole idea of being a geek is the social aspect of it. I love that we can sit around and talk about it.
Right.
Yep.
I love that you can sit down and play video games with each other. You can do LAN parties. You can do card games, board games. or anything in general that you would geek out about.
Yep,
I love that
definitely.
there's that social aspect to it where a lot of people think of geek or nerd and they think that you're kind of a loner and you just sit in a
bunch
dark
of
room
figurines
somewhere
on your
and eat
shelf.
Cheetos
No.
and
Yeah.
it's very much a community kind of thing. You got
Definitely.
things like Comic-Con that make that happen.
Yeah, it's great to get around with like-minded people and celebrate what you're into. So that's what we do here, folks. And you know, one of my favorite memories of Ryan and me living together is that we would sit around. We went through the entire Gears of War franchise. Remember when we did that?
Yeah.
And lots of beers. Lots of beers down there.
I only made it through the first one.
You didn't?
I made it through the first one with my brother, and we took a 6-month hiatus because we hated the game so much.
Really?
And then we were mad. We were just, we need to finish this. So we went through, we finally finished it. It's like, we still don't like the game. we're not gonna continue the franchise. I know I'm like the one in like a million, whatever, but we're like the Krill. They made me so mad. I was so mad.
I
had gamer rage.
See, I think we enjoyed it more for just the co-op aspect and having an excuse to sit, play video games, and
it's being, just being able to give each other orders and say, go do this, and you do this, and then being able to work together cooperatively, and then, hey, if you
solving that
gets frustrated, you say, I give up, and just going to run out and kill myself, and then start over. So
I didn't have that. My brother and I just yelled at each other. I was like, why did you do that?
I didn't say we didn't yell at each other.
Yeah, there was plenty of that. But between that or playing Munchkin and
still love him to death, but Munchkin was fantastic. I love the counter.
Great. We should have a whole session on board games.
As long as it's not Settlers.
Yeah. No, we won't talk about Settlers of Catan, right, Ryan?
We sure won't.
No, we won't.
This will be a very short show.
Ryan's going to get up and leave. Well, let's talk about what we're drinking today.
Oh, hello, Geek30. It's beer time.
Today's beer of the show is brought to you by my left toe because I lost my right one on my nightstand this morning.
Oh, poor guy. You all right?
It was the third one this week.
Oof. That's not good. How many more toes do you have left?
Yes.
Math is hard right now.
I was in a fetal position. It's not pretty.
All right. Well, we have an awesome product here from Small Town Brewery. It's called Not Your Father's Root Beer. And a lot of folks have come to know this. Would you consider this a beer, or this is a root beer with alcohol in it?
Yeah, I don't consider it a beer. It's definitely a root beer. It is fantastic.
It's pretty awesome. I've never had this before. It's my first time.
But it's not just any root beer with alcohol. It's like a really good root beer. Wheat beer.
Not wheat beer. We talked about that. No wheat beer.
No wheat beer. No, it's really good root beer with alcohol.
Yeah, and Ryan was kind enough to bring this. We had talked about this, and I told him I'd never tried it. He was adamant that he bring it here today. So here we are drinking it as we talk about all this geeky stuff that we're into. So per their website, brewer Tim Kovac's story is steeped in tradition and family. He says, my great grandfather, that's a lot of greats.
A lot of greats.
From the 1600s was the captain of a ship in England. He was also a bit of a gambler. As legend has it, he won a brewery during a high-stakes card game, which led him to start crafting his own beers. He began brewing beer on the ships he sailed. This allowed him to travel further than any other vessels because beer stayed fresh during long journeys. The story goes that his beer was even consumed on a fleet of ships he commanded that transported some of the earliest settlers to America. So that's kind of cool.
Goes to show you got to know when to hold them, know when to fold them, know when to walk away, know when to run.
Wow, that's beautiful.
I know, right? It's like poetry.
It's poetry. That's beautiful. So another thing that it says on the website is that it's that the award-winning Not Your Father's Root Beer achieved a 95 rating from Beer Advocate and is a very popular choice at several Chicagoland bars. Small Towns personally delivered Not Your Father's Root Beer kegs consistently sell out at taverns across the Chicago area. And it's showing that this beer, or root beer, I guess, has a bold, sweet, smooth, and spicy flavor. It's an ale with a taste of spices, 5.9% ABV, and it is delicious.
It is fantastic.
I love this stuff. So, Ryan, thank you very much for bringing it. Let's give it a little cheers to Ryan.
Salud.
Right. Salud. All right, wonderful. Let's give it a little sip. Yeah, that's tasty.
That is so noms.
Yeah, and so Ryan, what's your thought on the beverage of choice today?
That's delicious. I think we clearly all agree.
Well, at a score of 95, you had someone tell you otherwise while you were in the store looking for this?
So when we were first looking for this, because it's everywhere right now, and I mean it's let me step back.
Well, it's not everywhere. It's always sold
wants
out.
it everywhere,
Yeah.
but it's so hard to find. So we walk into a grocery store with my friend, our friend Ben and I go in trying to find this stuff. We find a 6-pack of it. We pick it up, super excited, taking it to the cashier. This big dude runs in front of us and stops us and he goes, wait, what are you doing? Don't buy this. I said, what are you talking about?
Really?
This if you've seen like a stereotypical like craft beer kind of hipster person, like huge beard, flannel shirt,
Big beard, flannel shirt.
It's how I wake up in the morning. It's whatever.
Yeah.
he was serious about his beer.
Right,
And
really.
he looks down and says, you guys aren't getting that, are you? I say, well, yeah, of course we are. Everyone's talking about it. It sounds amazing. We love root beer. We love beer. Sounds like a match made in heaven. He goes, this is the worst thing I've ever had in my life. I took a sip of it. I almost threw up. I had to get rid of it. Don't drink this. It's terrible. There's so many other options out there.
A little bit much there.
Yeah, and I'm paraphrasing. He was going on for a while. So we finally, partly to shut him up and partly because he kind of scared us off of it, we put it down. We got something else and we walked out. About a week later, and we were thinking about it all night. We wish we had just tried it. Who cares what this guy thinks of it? He doesn't like it. So about a week later, we ended up getting it, trying it, loving it. I think that was with you actually.
Right, I brought it over.
Yeah. So thank you for that.
Yeah.
But I've loved it. I couldn't stop thinking about it afterwards. So
Really?
and there are a couple different versions of it too. There's this is the 5.9%, the year-round edition that they have. There's also a higher alcohol content version. What is it? The anniversary edition. That is 10%, 10.7%, a little bit
Nice.
stronger. So I'm looking forward to trying that. But this
that would be good.
it's basically root beer with a kick. It's
Yeah.
like Barks but with a bite.
Barks with a look at the so punny. Oh Ryan. Well,
I'm happy. Don't just. I'm gonna put that out there. I'm happy.
I'm thinking back to this story that you just told, and when you and Ben probably put that back and walked out of that store, that guy was probably hiding behind some rock somewhere in the corner, and then watch you put it back, and he's like, "Ha ha! I will take
off
this."
with it.
Yeah, and
Whether he's working for their competitor, I don't know.
or something, because I don't see how anybody doesn't like this. At least if you like root beer, you will absolutely like this.
This is better root beer, but with alcohol.
Yeah, it's very nice. So it's
I want to
sweet.
put ice cream in this.
And it kind of reminds me of what Chris had last week. If you guys haven't caught episode 3 yet, check that out. We had Lost Rhino, and JoJo picked up a bottle of their root beer, not alcoholic root beer, for Chris because he doesn't consume alcohol, which is fine. We respect that. But that was a wonderful root beer. And this tastes similar to it. It's different. I wouldn't say one is better than the other.
This has more spices, I think.
Yeah,
the other
this
one had
one's
more
more
of a licorice kick to it.
Yeah.
But they're both phenomenal root beers.
Great root beer. So definitely recommend trying it. You could probably find this. It sounds like it's becoming widely available. At
widely
some
available for
places.
purchase, not always widely available because it's always
True.
selling out.
And that's the thing; it's selling out everywhere.
Good point.
And
Yeah,
I
good
actually
point.
tried to buy it in a store tonight, and the
Took you three
the guy who was
tries.
helping us actually, they only had it in cans available, and we said, "I've only ever seen it in bottles. Where do you have any of those left?" Said, "No, the brewery actually ran out of bottles."
It's amazing.
Right.
So
that's a good problem to have.
Yeah, exactly. That's how in demand it is right now. It's just a very much a fad, but deserved.
Yeah.
So we did end up finding bottles. So we're trying both right now. But
Awesome. Well, hey, thank you so much for bringing this over. And let's talk about what's going on in the news today.
Geek 30 News.
So some interesting news coming out of Nintendo. Nintendo appoints Tatsumi Kimishima as president after the passing of Satoru Iwata in July. So an article on September 14th, this was, I found this article, it was at CNN Money. It said, on Monday, Nintendo's board of directors voted in a new president, keeping the video game company stable as it seeks a big change of direction. They appointed Tatsumi Kimishima, a longtime Nintendo financial executive who spent most of his career stationed in the United States. And what's interesting about this guy, and something that we've been learning about him, is that he was actually in charge of the Pokemon division in Nintendo, and
which launched in '98, and it's grown so large.
Pokemon is
or
huge.
'97, I can't remember.
I remember playing Pokemon. Gosh, in like elementary school on my Game Boy.
I was in high school, you bastard.
Oh. Anyway, we're not going to go there. No, wait. Let me think. What year was that? What year was that? I'm pretty sure I wasn't. Oh, no, gosh, Jojo, you're old.
Thank you for reminding me of myself.
Yeah. Well, yeah. So we ended up, finding this article and thought it was really interesting because there's so many different directions that Nintendo can go in with this guy in charge. There's a lot of provocative questions, and he's filling some big shoes here, right? Satoru Iwata did some really cool stuff. Unfortunately, it's very sad. He passed away in July from complications from cancer, and it was kind of out of the blue. People who were close to him understood that this was kind of going to be inevitable, unfortunately. But it's still, there's a lot of potential here for Nintendo to come back.
Iwata was the kind of person where when Nintendo wasn't doing financially well, he stepped in, took a pay cut to make sure that he didn't have to fire anybody at Nintendo, because he told everybody if they believe they have a stable job, they're going to do great work. If they feel that they're going to lose their job, they're not going to work as hard. So he wanted to make sure he kept that morale up by taking a pay cut and make sure that their employees stayed safe.
Totally. He was a gamer's gamer, as a lot of people called him. He was one that he developed games back in his heyday.
Exactly.
He was responsible for some pretty big titles, but that also led Nintendo to do a lot of very risky, innovative things.
Definitely.
And some of the things I really liked. People give the Wii U a bad rap. I really like my Wii U.
I played that most of my 3 consoles.
I don't know anyone who has a Wii U and doesn't like it.
Yeah, that's the thing.
A brilliant console.
And there's so many people out there who give it a lot of crap, but I don't know. It's the go-to system for me when I have friends over. You guys know that.
Well, it became kind of a numbers game, a technical aspect,
and that's just it.
That to me is ridiculous, because the 360 and the PS3 are more powerful than the Wii U. So it's still more fun to play. So
yeah, and when you talk about how they work and what they can do, it stays so true to its roots as a social gaming system, as something where you can go on and just have fun. Or if you want a challenge, you got that too. Donkey Kong or something like that. It's always gonna be frustrating.
Rough game.
Oh my god! I tweeted something out the other day that I've been playing Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze.
Yeah.
And that is the most frustrating game I've ever played in my goddamn life.
I meant to respond to you because I wanted to send you a screenshot of my 100% completion.
Yeah, no.
There.
Oh, did you finish it?
It only took about 9 months.
Yeah, fine. I was on like the third level. I had like 15 lives and wasted all of them.
Yeah,
all of them.
I want to say I played 1 or 2 stages with either you or Ben.
Yeah.
And I own the game, and that was enough to tell me I can't play this right now. I don't have the time or the patience to go through every stage takes like an hour.
Yeah.
Because you have to pick up everything and all the letters and all the
exactly. So Nintendo is definitely on an upward trend. They've always had their ups and downs since they got into the video game industry, and even if someone considers the Wii U a blip, which I don't,
no, not at all,
they're still on that upwards trend. And you've got the Xbox and the PS4 that are in some ways disappointing people. They're amazing consoles. They're so powerful, but they've been glitchy. They've had a lot of...
The other thing is the PS4 and the Xbox One are almost virtually identical at this point in structure. I mean, the PS4 actually has technically faster RAM, faster processor, but they're the same exact architecture.
Yeah.
So you're basically playing the same system with 2 different operating systems on them.
Yeah.
And then Wii U is just a completely left field
it does
device.
its own thing, and it does it so well.
Right.
Very
it
well.
Always works.
Right.
It works its games fantastically.
Exactly.
I've never had technological problems with it.
Yeah, and the interesting thing that this article calls out from a numbers perspective is that the Wii U is more of a failure just from total sales compared to those other 2 competing consoles. And that could be an excuse. You can find an excuse for a number of different things on why that is. But what's really interesting is that, one thing that this article points out, Kimishima, who's the new president, was I guess he oversaw the launch of the original Wii, which was tremendously successful.
Very.
And I remember the Wii just being a really, really big deal because of the motion sensing controls, and there's a lot of hype around that. And
Not to
I'm wondering,
take a jab at Sony, but Sony made fun of the Wii when it first came out, saying that the remotes look like lollipops. But the PS Move looks more like a lollipop than the Wii does.
Well, here we are, Sony, and I went ahead and bought those,
I know.
those Sony lollipops, and it's really cool technology. But I think that the spirit of Nintendo is one that you can't replicate with games like Mario, Zelda, Pikmin. A number of Star Fox. You can go on and on.
Exactly.
Man, it's amazing. So with Kimishima coming on board, and also it's worth noting that he was CFO of Nintendo America. So with a numbers guy in charge, he's probably really going to be looking at the bottom line. What do you guys think about that maybe affecting the gamer's experience? Because going back to what we talked about with Iwata, the gentleman who died recently, he was kind of a gamer's gamer. He focused more on the experience. Do you think that we're going to be lacking that now that we got a numbers guy in charge?
That might be an issue. I would compare that to something almost like a Call of Duty franchise or a Assassin's Creed franchise, where you just start pushing things out every year just to make money off of it.
Yeah.
Well,
and
it's not like
I don't want that to happen.
It's not like they haven't capitalized on Nintendo's success and the success of characters like Mario, when you've got a million different lines under each character's name.
Exactly.
Mario Kart, Mario Tennis, Mario 3, 4, 5, whatever.
But Mario Kart comes out every 5 or 8 years, as to every year with Call of Duty. Mario itself comes out every 3 years, 4 years. Going
ADD for a second.
Yeah.
Is a new Mario Tennis coming out?
I don't know.
That's a great game.
I love Mario Tennis.
That was a great game.
I loved it on Virtual Boy.
Yeah.
Oh, you and your Virtual Boy.
Yeah, I know. I'm the only guy.
All right. So, but back to the topic. I think that I'm really waiting to judge until I actually see what this guy does. I'm like that with a lot of things.
That's fair.
I was like that when they cast Ben Affleck as Batman in the new Batman DC. I know.
I think he'll do a great Batman. I just don't think he's going to do a good Bruce Wayne. Luckily for him, that movie is all about Batman and not Bruce Wayne.
Let's see. Yeah, all I'm saying is, let's see. So, I just want to see Nintendo continuing to keep the spirit of the characters alive and the innovation happening, because I really appreciate what they did with the Wii. If they didn't go for that motion control, those motion sensing, whatever, what is it, the nunchuck and the Wiimote,
yeah.
We wouldn't see the sort of things that we did, with Sony with their lollipop, with the Kinect even.
Well, the Kinect,
took some stuff with
not to defend Microsoft, because everybody knows that I will throw Microsoft on the bus first of all things. But that was something they were talking about even while Steve Jobs was alive, with Bill Gates back and forth, just talking about motion sensor or whatever. So the Kinect's been a long time coming. 360 was their first iteration of that, and they've just only gotten better since then. But again, it's the Kinect and the Wiimote were two completely different approaches to the same kind of problem. The Kinect thankfully has gotten better because it was really wonky on the 360.
Yeah.
And so it's a lot more fluid now, and so I do applaud Microsoft for that. But I don't applaud Sony for not ripping off only the Wiimote with their Move, but they the Wii U has a gamepad with a screen on it. So PS4 is like, oh hey, why don't you use your PS Vita that costs $300 and now you have a $700 Wii U?
Yeah,
so it's wait a second,
whatever, man. They're making money. People are buying it.
But you could get a better experience on the Wii U.
I hear you. I agree with you. I really do. We'll see there. But next up in the news, there's a new Muppets TV show coming out, and it's coming out this week, September 22nd. So we're recording this, what is it, September 20th right now. It's Sunday. It's a Sunday evening. So the next couple days, we're going to be seeing this new show on ABC. And I'm actually kind of excited about this because I've always thought, I've never been a big, huge Muppets fan. Like I know some people, back in the day were, big avid fans, but this new show, just the format sounds really interesting because I'm a fan of The Office, of Parks and Rec.
Right.
And they're almost turning a Muppets this Muppets experience into a show like that.
Right.
So I found this article in Variety. Again, I post all of these links in the show notes. So feel free to check out these articles I'm reading. But it says, certainly ABC has cause for hope that it found the right people to reinvigorate this Disney franchise, inasmuch as producer Bill Prady, co-creator of CBS's mega hit The Big Bang Theory, cut his professional teeth working on The Muppets Show at Disneyland, teaming up with Bob Kuchel, and The Office alum Randall Einhorn. Prady has sought to give the characters a 21st century spin, playing with sitcom conventions as well as double entendres aimed at adults, not kids. So it's an interesting thought. Like, right. Ryan, I mean, we're dealing with these characters from what's essentially a kids show.
Right.
If you were to take these characters and put them in adult situations, how does that make you feel? Like, what if, like, one day we saw, like, Sesame Street in this situation? I don't know if that's maybe on the complete opposite end of the spectrum, because the Muppets have always been kind of
like teetered that line.
Yeah, Sesame Street has always been targeted at kids, whereas the Muppets appeals to kids and adults at the same time.
Oh, it's almost like a family audience, right?
It is.
Exactly.
But now they're taking it from this family audience out, right? Is that what it seems to you?
Yes and no. I think the humor is going to be much more targeted to adults. I think kids are still going to be able to enjoy the show. There's not going to be anything that's make your kids turn away at this scene or anything like that. But you've got I don't know if you've seen the trailers where like Nathan Fillion comes out of the trailer with Miss Piggy. You've got little stuff like that where there's going to be those undertones to it. Some subtle, some not so subtle.
Yeah.
But the Muppets themselves are so silly and goofy. You can't help but laugh.
Right.
So I think it's going to be a really good escape when you're able to sit down and watch that show.
Yeah.
I mean, I think there's a thing to say about the nostalgia of it, that it's something you grew up with, and now it's at your adult level, so it kind of grew up with you in that sense.
Sure.
So that part of it I'm excited about. And the Muppets as a whole, they've been doing a lot of great things as of late. They kind of, I don't want to say died off, but they really became sedentary, like in the late 90s, early 2000s. Yeah. And then they just sparked up again, and it's been amazing.
Their movies were not up to par, I think, at that point. And they kind of went away, and that was the point of the newer movies that came out. With
Jason Segel did a fantastic job.
He brought them back.
Exactly.
I know some people who really didn't like that movie. I enjoyed that. Did you guys see that? I enjoyed it.
It might be because of the audience everything's now like Terminator 4, 18, whatever, and everything's like pop, action, whatever. The Muppets movie that came out in 2011, The Muppets, was very much a throwback to the original show, and that it felt right. It felt correct. So I love that in that aspect, and I guess people aren't used to that anymore.
They also have done an amazing job of marketing themselves. For the starting back with when that movie was coming out, they'd released YouTube videos doing songs and character not briefings, like help me with the word,
like interviews or
they in depth with the character and stuff like that, and they had a lot of really fun things. You can just go on and watch the videos, and they've been doing that for the show as well. So it's creating a lot a lot. Their marketing's always been a lot of fun.
They put out the whole thing with Kermit and Miss Piggy breaking up.
That's been like on morning news. That's been everywhere.
It's so funny. There's no better way to market that than it's groundbreaking. And that's fantastic.
You have to know what happens.
Right.
Yeah, I'm excited to see this, and I think, like you said, the marketing behind it. When I first heard rumblings of this on, I don't remember where exactly I heard this, but then I started seeing it pop up on my Facebook feed, and I started watching all of those individual things, and I noticed that they were shooting this like The Office and like Parks and Rec. Like I mentioned before, I love those shows. I absolutely love them. And when I saw that they've always given us the view of the Muppets, the theater and all that stuff, and they're doing it from kind of a behind the scenes. So not only are we getting a more adult version of the Muppets, but it's almost appropriate because we're getting a behind the scenes look at the drama that happens on the show that we were watching when we were kids.
Right.
So it's kind of a meta thing. It's weird.
Right.
It's really weird. So I really like the idea.
I'm excited for it. I don't even watch shows, and I want to watch this.
Like and this also made me think, like, what other shows? And we talked about this Nickelodeon thing happening. And by the way, guys, they just announced. I think the channel is called Splat.
Yeah,
it's going to be all '90s old school Nickelodeon TV shows that they're re-airing.
So
All about it. And again, I swear they're listening to this podcast. Awesome.
I may have to call in sick a couple of podcasts. I'm going to be on my couch watching 90s cartoons.
Watching a lot of Rocko's Modern Life.
Or we're going to podcast from here with the TV going on.
Yeah. It'd be so good.
Exactly.
So good. But with that in mind, what other, I was trying to think back, they tried to do a lot of the, taking Scooby-Doo, for instance. They they recreated that, I don't know, 10, 15 years ago.
Right.
And tried making a movie out of that. What other shows from back in the day would you like to see kind of reinvigorated like the Muppets have, maybe in a different light, in a more adult light, like you said, bringing these shows from our childhood, having them grow up with us to the point where we are now. Do you have any thoughts on different shows?
There was a headline recently. So Fraggle Rock was one of my favorite shows growing up. I love Fraggle Rock. They have announced recently that it wasn't going to be the actual Fraggles or was, I guess, the ogres, the really mean ones. It was the little builders that they had over there. They're going to bring in a new kids show. So they're bringing that kind of franchise back for kids, which is kind of cool. But again, that's slated only for kids.
Yeah.
If the Fraggles came back, but that'd be the second Muppets kind of a situation. Yeah. So I don't know if that'd really work out, but you would need something that could actually kind of transcend time. So what would be timeless then and also now?
Right.
Because the Muppets do that.
Exactly. And it's hard to think of another franchise that has that sort of novelty like the Muppets.
Yeah, I mean, you could probably do that for a lot of franchises. Just say, how fun would it be to put them in this day and age?
Yeah.
A Thundercats show where it's just like right into whatever. There are certain shows that are meant for the time period they were in. The Scooby-Doo is a good example of that. It was a very 70s kind of show.
Exactly. It was kind of locked into that era.
Yeah, and you've got certain shows that the Smurfs hasn't lived up well to this.
No. Garfield hasn't either.
Yeah, and of course a lot of that comes down to the writing and what they actually do with those characters.
Right.
And the Muppets has been so far a really good example of them modernizing that series. So I can't think of one that I'd say right off the top of my head I'd love to see.
It's hard to think
because it depends on what you could do with it. There's a lot of potential out there because there's so much material. But
Exactly.
Yeah, really, really difficult to think of something. If you guys think of something that maybe we're not, maybe not coming to mind, feel free to shoot us an email, geek30podcast@gmail.com. Spell out the word 30. We would love to hear your feedback, as always.
I feel like we've really disappointed our listeners with as many good ideas.
Because my issue is every time I think of something, it's like, no, that was remade, and it was horrible.
And we've been burned so many times.
Yes, I was about to say Ninja Turtles.
Yeah.
But see that remake?
I actually like that. The live action one?
Oh, man.
Guys.
I'm sorry.
That was actually not bad.
No,
I was a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle fan back in the day.
So you were the one.
Right. I was that one, that one guy?
The one ticket sale ad?
I'm an eternal optimist. I enjoyed that. Screw you guys.
Speaking of Optimus Prime, another franchise killed by modern times.
Hey, well, you know what? They actually killed themselves. The first couple of movies were pretty good.
I just the newest ones were
but every time those come out now, any kind of series that's rebooted, immediately the feeling is eyes roll. Why are they bothering to bring this back? You knew Garfield wasn't going to work. You knew the Smurfs wasn't going to work.
Yeah.
But I feel like those movies in particular they're immediately slated to be silly. They immediately slate, okay, this is Garfield, but only for 10-year-olds. Yeah. They don't try to conclude
Alvin and the
else.
Chipmunks.
I was going to say
exactly.
that.
They don't
forgetting the most amazing one of all, Alvin and the freaking Chipmunks.
No, that was so bad.
If I have to hear another song covered by those goddamn chipmunks, I'm going to lose it.
That's a no-go.
No go. So let's talk about the next story. So Star Wars Battlefront beta. So it was just announced in a number of different sites that some more information was given about the beta. If you guys aren't familiar with this game coming out, there was an old game. I don't know how long ago was that on the original Xbox. I'm trying to think. Maybe I don't know. 7-8 years ago the original one was put out, but they're kind of reimagining this older version of this game, and it's a classic struggle between two sides fighting in a Star Wars universe, capturing objectives and playing as some of your favorite characters from the Star Wars universe. And EA has put out this if you guys haven't heard of this game by now, you're living under a rock.
Right. Well, it's also Star Wars, and Star Wars is kind of the big thing right now. We've mentioned it every show so far. We've
really
shows,
four shows.
But we've mentioned it every show. It'll be mentioned next show too, by the way.
But this, probably. But this game specifically catches my attention not only because it's Star Wars, but it just looks so good. It looks like a great first-person shooter, objective-based game where there's various maps that you play on. You can play on Hoth, Endor, a number of different places, and one of the things that caught my eye about this was some of the aerial combat that you can do. It's almost like EA took the Battlefield 1942 Battlefield series and brought it into this Star Wars universe better than they did even in the past with the original Battlefront games that came out 7 or 8 years ago.
But they're also adding was it Rogue Squadron or Rogue Leader, that whole GameCube series, N64 series of the aerial fighting.
Yeah, that aerial fighting style.
I know everybody loves Knights of the Old Republic. I know people love Data Academy 2. The Rogue Squadron games were my favorites.
Yeah, those were really cool.
I love flying an X-wing in all different situations. I mean, big Star Fox fan, obviously also. So that's the part I'm excited about.
Yeah,
and it's a 20-person player aerial combat.
Yeah,
that's exciting to me,
and that's really cool. So this article from Engadget is what I was reading about. Some more information revealed about this beta that's coming out. There's still no news on when the beta is going to come out, but what's exciting is that this is open to everybody. So the article says, it seems like every time we see Star Wars Battlefront, it gets a little more exciting. Small but epic missions, huge multiplayer battles, aerial combat with up to 20 players. Can this game possibly live up to its own hype? You're going to find out. Yes, you personally, EA has announced that the Star Wars Battlefront beta is going to be open to everyone. It's more than just simple multiplayer beta, though. This preview has a little bit of everything. Competitive players will be able to try out the Walker Assault and Drop Zone game modes staged on both Hoth and Sullust maps, respectively. Players looking for a more solitary experience will have access to a survival mission mode, compatible with offline solo play and local and online co-op. That's not bad. Unfortunately, EA still isn't sure when you'll be able to download the beta. Just that it'll be available to all Xbox One, PC, and PlayStation 4 owners later this year. So super exciting stuff. I'm going to be getting this on my Xbox One so I
when
can
it
play
pops
with
up,
all you
I'll be downloading.
Kids.
Definitely.
Yeah. And Ryan, I know you and the three of us would always play, and other friends, we would always play games like Call of Duty. We're pretty big fans of getting angry at first-person shooters and hating ourselves for sucking at them. But we still enjoy playing them.
I was on your team only so that the other team had a chance of winning because I was no good at the first person like you guys were.
No,
we needed bodies, JoJo.
Well, yeah, we appreciate you playing your part.
Yeah, I'm part of things.
So we really enjoy playing online shooters with each other, even though we get super frustrated sometimes.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, Ryan's a pretty
competitive. Watch it.
Yeah, he's pretty competitive. So with that, Ryan, I mean, what are your thoughts on this game? I mean, we've kind of talked about it, and what are your thoughts?
So I'm really excited for it. I love the Star Wars universe. I've always loved the movies. I've loved the games. Actually, that's funny that you brought up Rogue Squadron, and Shadows of the Empire is another one that I played on S64 all the time. And it was amazing you could put yourself in that universe.
Opening up another beer.
You
doing the same thing.
Okay. You could be on Hoth. You could be flying the X-wing, the Hoth-mobile, whatever it was called.
The Hoth-mobile.
Should have called it Colt.
Jeez.
No, let Ryan do the puns.
God, I thought there was no bad on the outside.
No, Ryan. Stop it, Ryan.
It was funny. You're laughing.
It was funny. I did chuckle. So the snow speeders, you were talking about flying snow speeders.
Is that what they're called?
Yeah, I think so.
The snowsicles. The A-wings.
Those are fun games, though.
They were really fun games, and this game. It looks amazing. I don't actually know. Is everything we're seeing so far actual gameplay footage?
Yes.
All right, so this is what you're going to be seeing in the game.
Yeah, I mean, in the graphics.
So it looks incredible.
Yeah.
My only hesitation, and this is really just me from playing enough first-person shooters and always saying that I'm going to retire from them and just play Mario or whatever. Is that
Mario's
these games,
first person.
games like this always depend on who you're playing with and who you're playing against.
Certainly.
So that's always been my frustration, is if someone's going to play just to ruin your day, there's no point. But I think a universe like this is big enough. I think a universe like this is big enough and it's passionate enough that there's going to be a lot of people who play it because they love Star Wars, and they're not going to want to ruin the game for others.
Yeah,
that's my hope.
Right.
If you're fighting, you're going to be competitive. Now, obviously, you're going to be shooting to kill, but I think it's going to be a lot of fun, and I can see myself enjoying it.
Right.
Yeah. The potential certainly is obviously the fact that it's Star Wars is really exciting to me, but the potential for the team-based combat that we see here,
right,
and just that, and Battlefield is pretty successful with being a great team-based shooter, and people are really working together in some cases to achieve the objectives, and it's working out well, and I'm hoping that translates into a game like this. But I also think that the other game modes, like these survival game modes, where you're you're trapped there, and you've got waves of enemies coming at you. That's a basic game mode, but in the Star Wars universe and the graphics, I think it's just going to be super engaging for me personally. I'm really excited about some of that.
Well, if it's not first-person shooter, if it's the aerial style, I'll make sure that you're winning. I'll be on your team.
Oh, I appreciate
That'll be fantastic. If it's first-person shooter, I'm gonna have to step away because you don't want me on your team.
I mean, you can get in the vehicles, you can walk in the AT-ATs, you can walk in the, you can use the pod racers, you can do the aerial battles. Can you fly the Millennium Falcon? I know that was a big question.
That was one of the things. They haven't given too much.
I want to say that's probably going to be something single player. I don't know that if everybody's going to play that multiplayer though.
Well, I'm okay with that. But just 17 Millennium Falcons.
But here's the interesting thing. So in these multiplayer settings,
right,
some random person is going to become Luke Skywalker. Some random person is going to become Darth Vader. There's going to be these heroic characters. I think there's been some information given on how you actually achieve that ability to turn into one of those characters and become some kind of unstoppable wrecking ball of for your team.
If I ever got chosen as Darth Vader, I would be playing the Imperial March first off and having my Kinect turned on, so that makes sure I make everybody hear the Imperial March. Anytime I get close to them, they just hear it over the radio all the time. I have to do that,
I think this is gonna be when we got their headsets on. There's gonna be a lot of quotes being.
Exactly.
I can't see them.
All of a sudden, now.
This is gonna be JoJo. This is gonna be JoJo. He's gonna be like, oh my god, I'm Vader. Dun, 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 dun. Guys, I'm Vader. Dun, 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 dun.
I'm laughing, but that's exactly how I'm gonna be. You have no idea. He's like hit it on the head.
And he's gonna be like flailing his hands.
Exactly.
Guys,
like, JoJo, you're not actually playing, but I'm Vader. I don't have to play.
Oh god, I
died. Oh wow.
Interesting, actually, here, some breaking news. Ryan just pointed out. Yeah. A little theme music. EA says early October for beta. Game is released November 17th. So whatever early October means, and that's very exciting. I'm looking forward to that. So I wonder if it's just going to be like a weekend. Did you see anything on there, or is it going to be for forever so we can play it until it comes out?
It's also going to have offline capabilities, so I imagine you'll be able to play it offline single player, until the game releases. That'll be awesome. So maybe not the multiplayer every weekend, but
good call.
At least you'll be
unless the key somehow. Can they do that?
Thing?
Yeah,
I don't.
It's being used as a technical test,
right?
And they did announce that they're going to have dedicated servers for the game, which is really nice,
right?
Yeah,
for its capabilities. So
they're
going to be focusing mainly on performance and looking forward to people playing it and testing it out.
Cool.
So I doubt it'll be knowing that I doubt it'll be a long running thing. Might be a weekend or 4 days, like that. Who knows how much you can play it afterwards? But
right.
Or what features will be available.
Exactly. I'm still downloading it. It's gonna be awesome.
Yeah. Well, hopefully next time we come on this show, we will have some more information on when that will happen. But let us know how excited you are about this game. Like I say all the time, feel free to send us an email. We love hearing everybody's feedback in any form of communication. Feel free to email us again, geek30podcast@gmail.com.
And like Eric, you might pop up on the show at some point.
Yeah, we choose ones that we want to put up on the show, and it makes sense. And just like Eric from last episode, we would love to answer your questions. So let's get into a topic that we wanted to talk to Ryan about because he is like we said, a very worldly person. Would you say that, Ryan? Are you a worldly person?
Not at all.
No?
America.
Well, something that's really cool about Ryan is that he has traveled to a lot of different places, more places than most. He's a big fan of just adventuring, going out, exploring. And even when we lived together, you went backpacking through Europe. I think you went to Egypt.
I lived in Egypt, yeah.
Yeah, you've been to a bunch of different places. And this is kind of selfish. Okay, I wanted to talk to him about this personally because, Deanna and I are thinking about doing some traveling early next year, potentially international travel. Would love to go check out some places in Europe. And what do you say to people who want to go do that? How do you plan it? What resources do you tap into? You've done this 2 or 3 times now. So what are your thoughts?
Well, the great thing about the tourism industry is that it's everywhere.
Yeah.
And there's a million resources depending on where you want to look. And depending on what kind of trip you want to have. If you want to do the historical tour, the Frommer's guides and that kind of stuff, you can go to a library and read books and read blogs and, watch Rick Steves and that kind of stuff. Or you could go and say, we're not going to plan anything. We're just going to go there, see what happens when we get there, see who we meet and who we travel with. So there's a lot of different ways to get where you want to go. So it really depends on the kind of trip you want to have. Yeah. Personally, the trips that I've had is I've been a couple times now. If you're using the Europe example, the first time I went was the first time I'd been really out of the country besides like the Caribbean, Bermuda. So going to Europe for the first time was really exciting, and I wanted to do as many touristy things as I could.
Yeah.
Get on the Eiffel Tower, right. Go see Big Ben, go see Barcelona and the cathedral there. So there's all different kinds of see Rome and take pictures in front of the buildings, and I was pretty boring.
That's never been done before.
Yeah, what are you talking about? Let's go in that church. That looks awesome. No, I swear it's different than the other church. Okay, it's the same.
Sistine Chapel is a 17 Chapel.
Yeah.
It was bad. It was bad.
I didn't do the puns.
You already said that, Alex. Yeah. I get it.
So much better at it.
That was not appropriate.
Appropriate.
Well played. Well played.
Oh man,
this is why we love him.
I gotta walk away.
Oh, Alex is leaving.
Alex is leaving now.
Welcome to Geek 30 with JoJo and Ryan.
Hello, Ryan. How are you doing today?
Good. On today's show.
Oh wait, there's an Alex. Where did he come from?
I'm back. I just had to take a moment after that. So we're talking about things not being appropriate.
It's my new thing now. I need to use that everywhere.
Appropriate?
Well, I mean, the People Visit is this week in DC.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
That's true. I'm about to just throw it into my, lexicon of, vocabulary.
That's
and
true. I'm sure the Pope would appreciate that.
Exactly. I'm not going anywhere near that because DC's going to be a cluster.
No.
I'm going to smack that bitch up.
Smack that. Ryan. These puns. So we were talking about travel.
They're amazing. I told you. He's hesitant. Alex is hesitant. Ryan's making me laugh.
Because I lived with it.
I didn't. I'm still enjoying it. Roll your eyes all you want. This is happy.
Oh, man.
The first thing I would say is just figure out what kind of trip you want it to be. What do you want to see? Do you want to go there to experience the hole-in-the-wall restaurants? Do you want to find bars? Do you want to meet the people and experience the culture firsthand? Or do you want to make it a tourist trip and say, we've never been here, we just want to go and experience it and do the same kind of stuff that everyone else has seen for whatever reasons you have. So once you figure that out, you can kind of figure out your resources. Social media, blogs are great. There's a lot of travel blogs up there.
Cool, okay.
People are your best resource. If someone's been to Paris, they're going to tell you.
Yeah.
And they're going to have 100 tips for you.
Yeah.
Do you have to wear a beret in Paris? And do you have to smoke cigarettes? I mean, it just seems like everybody else does that.
My assumptions, yes?
Yeah, I want to fit in, but I don't smoke. So maybe the candy ones, maybe, I don't know.
I don't know. Did you smoke cigarettes and wear a beret?
Did you wear a beret?
Didn't do either of those.
Well, he came out alive, so obviously.
Got a good slap in the face when I entered the country without my traditional beret. But,
there we go. I can live with a slap.
No, but we walked along the Seine. We went to Notre Dame. Went to on the Eiffel Tower. It's just,
awesome.
I mean, we were very touristy. The second time we went was a lot different. We got to experience the culture and just go stay in hostels and make new friends and you know, do a little bit of some irresponsible European things. But.
Yeah, well, tell me this. I mean, what did you prefer? Because the way I see it is that you could look at it a couple different ways. I personally appreciate going and seeing some of the historic stuff, maybe some of the touristy stuff. I'm kind of a history nerd. That's one of the things that you and I kind of get along with. But, like, you know, I mean, at the same time, if I go and I don't experience those things, but I maybe want to experience the culture in another way, I feel like I may be missing out. So I almost see it like it would be worth doing 2 trips, like the way that you did it, or maybe spending a ton of time in one place.
I was really fortunate to be able to do that. I'm not going to lie, and it's not like I'm some like professional traveler. I don't want to come off as like you know.
He's just a regular guy who happens.
He was funding the whole podcast to begin with, so I'm just saying.
Oh well, he's a secret billionaire. We're not talking about that.
Yeah.
No, I mean, but Ryan's just. I mean, he's passionate about traveling, and he's you know, really taking the leap to go to some really cool places.
Yeah.
And that's one thing that I admire a lot. I think it's a great thing.
Yeah. I mean, being a history buff, and again, my trip might have been boring to a lot of people, but I went into chapels. We went to Normandy where my grandfather landed on the D-Day invasion. So I got to see the beaches and actually went with a teacher who took her class on a tour, and I went with them, and they honored me. That was really cool.
Can you talk about that for a second? Because you told me this trip. You told me about this trip when you came home, and I thought that the story was just fascinating.
So my grandfather, as he started to get a little bit later in life, started to open up a lot about his wartime experiences, and he started to become a big advocate for teaching young people, like elementary school age students, about that time and what it was like to be in the war. He was actually 16 when he landed on the D-Day beaches.
Amazing.
He was the youngest soldier.
Think about you at 16.
Yeah.
Being in his shoes.
Well, I looked up a date earlier.
I would shit myself.
At 16, Pokemon was released for me in '96. By the way,
yeah. So you would be on D-Day with your Game Boy.
I didn't even have my permit yet. I didn't learn until 16, 17. So I don't know that I could have handled D-Day.
It's so realistic,
right? Exactly. I couldn't handle drama on my after-school specials, let alone landing on a beach.
These graphics are amazing.
Yeah, it's mind blowing to think that there were kids at that age doing that.
They're kids. They're not
kids.
Yeah, they're not adults. They're kids.
Yes.
So I could talk for hours about his experience, and I was really fortunate to get to know him really well and to get those stories. But at some point, he hooked up with a teacher in France, an elementary school teacher who was really involved in growing the knowledge and very passionate about the D-Day invasions and what France owed to the U.S. for that. And after he passed away, I reached out to her and said, I'm coming to Europe. I'd love to see the beach. I'd love to meet you, talk about your experiences with my grandfather. She just happened to be going to Normandy with her class, because we were there for the anniversary of D-Day.
Oh, wow.
So I got to, part of my trip, I came around from leaving Amsterdam or Brussels, met her in Normandy, and with her class, and we toured the entire coast together, getting to see the battle sites. And they actually had a couple presentations for me, so that was really touching.
That's fascinating.
That was amazing. That was on our way down to Paris. So we got to spend a few days there.
That's once in a lifetime.
Yeah. It really was. So, you know, and something like that is not the most interesting thing to someone in college going for spring break.
Yeah.
That's the kind of thing that I'm going to enjoy. I love like going in the bombed out shelters and seeing you know, all that stuff firsthand, going into museums.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Same thing with any of those cities. Rome was a million museums there. Going to the pyramids in Egypt.
Yeah.
You know, my friend that I was with was usually bored by the end of the day, but then you spend the night getting to go to restaurants and meeting people, and so you can kind of do it a couple different ways.
Right. It's a cool story. I think that it's fascinating. So, you know, I'm really interested in checking out some places in the UK. We've talked about going to Italy or Spain. You know, Deanna's whole family is from, not whole family, her mom's side is all from Italy. You know, my dad's side is from Cuba, which obviously goes into Spain. So we've talked a lot about checking out some of those places. So, you know, I'll definitely be picking your brain for some stuff.
Just the first piece of advice I have for you is just make the time, honestly.
Yeah,
because everyone talks about it, and they said, what are your tips? And I said, just find time to do it. I'm not a professional. I can tell you you'll spend a lot of money. It'll be worth it, but just make time to do it. And that's the reason I was able to do it right after I graduated college. I knew that was the only time I'd have. And I just said, screw it, I'm going to graduate. I already booked my flight, and I was going.
That's the thing. We're trying to do this before we have babies, because we're not having babies soon, right? Deanna? Yes.
No, okay. There was an awkward pause there, so I don't know.
I don't know. So, well, no, that's fascinating, Ryan, and thanks so much for taking the time to chat with us.
That was awesome. And again, we've had a history geek. Last week we had a sports geek. Before that we had a music geek. So we have, geek kind of it covers everything, It's what you're a geek about, which is amazing.
Yes, and it's so good. So again, thanks to you guys for listening. I think it's time to wrap up the show. As we're wrapping it up, I just want to give a quick shout out. So last night we had my sister's wedding. Ryan was there with me. And it was a wonderful time. My little sister got married, everybody.
Inconceivable.
It's crazy. And she got married to an awesome dude. Couldn't be happier.
Pretty sure he gets taller every time I see him.
Yeah, he's a very, very tall human being.
He was 6'4" last time I saw him. He was like 7'2", 2 times ago.
Yeah. Now
he keeps growing.
He's like 9 foot something.
Right.
I'm crazy.
starting to have a complex around it.
Yeah.
I used to be tall, but then I stood near him, and it was not a thing anymore.
It's crazy. But, I ended up running into a listener over there. His name is Brett. So shout out to Brett. Thanks so much for listening. Just wanted to say hi, and we appreciate your support. So with that, Jojo, where can people reach us?
So we've mentioned a couple times already, but always geek30podcast@gmail.com. That is all spelled out, geek30podcast@gmail.com. And if you want to leave us a voicemail, because some people just love to talk, 443-424-3350.
Yep, and you can also follow us on Twitter @geek30. Again, spell out the word 30. Visit our website, www.geek30.com.
Which means you can stream us from this website in case you don't have access to SoundCloud, Stitcher, or iTunes, wherever you're at.
Absolutely.
Get it on the website.
Yep, and, with iTunes, obviously give us a 5-star rating. It helps tremendously, you guys. Like our Facebook page. We're trying to do as much as we can to get the word out about this podcast, so all of your help is tremendously appreciated.
New and noteworthy, which is fantastic.
Yeah, and again, let's celebrate that.
Yeah,
so cheers
awesome.
to that,
Cheers.
which is really cool. Cheers to that again. And a special thanks to Jamie Sweetland, as always, for his awesome work editing our faux pas.
If it sounds good, it's his fault.
Yeah, he does an awesome job, and of course, with the awesome music you guys hear. Thank you to Small Town Brewery for this wonderful root beer that we were able to drink. This root beer beer.
This is dangerous. This is
root beer beer?
This is a root beer beer.
Yeah, this is
dangerous. It's so tasty.
It's so easy to drink. It's going to be a long night.
What a night.
And again, thank you to you guys for listening. We will see you all next time.
Bye, everyone.
And y'all have a great night.
See ya!